final panel. We went from exceptional people, and by the way, I really do like these guys. I think I was laughing louder than anyone. The guys on the left. We're going to go from exceptional people. We're going to continue. We're going to go to collaboration, the collective strength. Our next moderator could be the nicest guy in NASCAR. I sent him a note and I said, hey, what's the one thing you want this audience to know about you that they might not know? And he said, he sent me a number of things, but one just made me laugh. And he said that, so I worked at an agency and my future wife wouldn't date me because we work for the same agency. So I got another job, and then she decided it's okay to go out with me. So let me introduce you to the SVP, Chief Marketing Officer of NASCAR, Pete Young.
Thanks, Jonathan. Thanks, great to be with you all this afternoon. Definitely hard act to follow, but we've got a fantastic panel ahead for you all. So let's go ahead and introduce. Our first panelist is the Chief Experience Officer at Speedway Motorsports, Jessica Fickinger. Her side hustle is the Executive Director of the AllStar Race at North Wilkesboro Speedway. A little fun fact about Jessica is she's a former college athlete, so you will not see me on the golf course with her anytime. So welcome, Jessica.
Thanks.
Next up, my friend and colleague, Julie Giese. Julie is the president of the NASCAR Chicago Street Race, also former president of Phoenix Raceway. She's held positions at Daytona International Speedway and Watkins Glen, and others. One kind of fun fact, Julie and I are probably the only people in this room that started their marketing careers at an agency in Minneapolis, so to the Minneapolis. So welcome, Julie. Next up, I think just about everyone in this room knows Mr. Ty Norris, president of Trackhouse Racing. He's probably one of the most passionate leaders in this industry. He's obviously worked at a number of organizations in the industry, DEI, Waltrip Racing. Just a little fun fact about Ty, for his 50th birthday, he hiked the Grand Canyon down and back in a day. That's approximately 21.6 miles or 44,700 steps. He said it was all in 115-degree heat, but I doubt it was 115-degree heat. Yeah, down in by the river. But welcome, Ty. And last but certainly not least, Mr. Will Pleasance. He's the managing director of Wasserman, both in the U.S. and Mexico. He's been at Wasserman for 16 years. He started at Wasserman when he was 16, so he's doing pretty well on the age front. He's had several roles, including being the chief operating officer. Will is a UNC grad, so he's a very proud Heels football fan. I'm sure he's going to brag a little bit about being undefeated and top 10. He's also 40 under 40, and he's won NASCAR Market of the Year, I think, back in the nationwide days. So welcome, Will.
Going to the well.
So let's start out with just kind of a question for each of you, and maybe we'll start with you, Julie. Just if you look at the last couple of years, everyone's been in the industry around for a few years, and what you kind of feel has changed just in the industry, and kind of specifically how you kind of feel the sponsor involvement in terms of the overall kind of fan or guest experience has changed in the past couple of years.
I think if you look at just how the fan experience has evolved, specifically like my experience at Daytona, the renovation there, to what we did at Phoenix Raceway, and really just trying to take it to a whole new level. I think our sport is all about access, and I think that's what we do the best, and it's how do we continue to top that. And that's really where I think partners come into play, helping continue to enhance the experience, but also be creative and come with those fresh perspectives. I think when you look at what we're doing in Chicago, like it was a blank sheet of paper, think of everything as differently as possible. It's what we did when we renovated Phoenix, same with Daytona. So I think it's just continuing to push ourselves to be creative, have those new partners that are coming in that have some different ideas, not be afraid of it, embrace it, and be willing to try new things has definitely paid off, I think.
Great, thank you. Ty, your thoughts? You're a sponsor-first leader. Your thoughts on change and just maybe specifically the value, mutual value that sponsors bring to the table.
Well, and there was a long time where partners would come in and they just would dominate the car. So you'd have one partner for the entire season, and they put a lot of focus around that. And now we have to be very creative, because certain partners, we have Worldwide Express, who cares nothing about branding and all about business, and then we have Freeway Insurance, who cares all about branding and less about business to business. And so you have to know your partner. You have to figure out what they want. And then ultimately, you can't come to them with the same old solution. So we've been trying to be different in a lot of different ways, how we present ourselves, how we present our company. We obviously have some diversity with Daniel Suarez, and so we have different markets and such. But even Julie's opportunity at Chicago, we were sitting around and thinking, okay, what can we do that's different that might be cool in that city? And we came up with the idea is that we were going to get graffiti artists to put the Trackhouse logo on all the trains. And we're like, let's just do something kind of cool. And someone yelled at me and they said, it's not called graffiti, it's called street art. And I'm like, sorry, street art all over the trains. And so, a lot of logistic problems happened. We didn't want to get arrested, so we didn't have the right certificate, so we didn't get to do it. But it's our idea, so you can't do it for next year. But it's just different things like that. Just trying to get out there and get your names and your partners out in front of just unique ways. You just cannot continue to do the same thing.
Julie, we now know that Chicago Street Race will be back in 2024. So just talk to us a little bit. I mean, that was a very anticipated moment and event, probably the boldest event in some ways in the history of NASCAR. Just a little bit of a sneak behind the curtain, from the inception and vision to the announcement to the not even a year of planning, the ups, the downs. Shed a little light if you would.
Absolutely, and I think
all ups, right?
All ups, absolutely. And I've probably have had this conversation with almost all of you in this room on different occasions, but it truly was a blank sheet of paper, and we were building something and literally had 3 weeks to build and 2 weeks to take it down. Everything we were doing was through computer simulation, thanks to our friends at iRacing, who really was helpful taking what we did a couple years ago, just from a race perspective, that then we were able to model out the entire footprint. And our approach to that event was just truly like, I don't want to hear, well, this is what we've done or this works here. Like, it's all like everything's on the table, and be as creative as possible. This is our opportunity to set a new path, really, try something new, things that maybe wouldn't work in another market. We knew we were going to be hosting a new set of fans. 85% of our attendees were at their very first NASCAR race. And some of the things, like when you think about planning, especially as we're going ahead to next year, we sold that weekend as a 2-day package with the 2 races as well as then the 4 concerts. The thing we've heard from a lot of those new fans were they don't know the difference between who's racing Saturday and who's racing Sunday, and so that's a huge opportunity for us to help them understand the 2 different races, what that looks like, what that means, and then tie in. They may have bought that ticket because of a concert, and I think over 35% of those attendees bought a ticket because of the different music acts that we were having. So I think for us, it's just we learned a lot, and we didn't get to do as much as we wanted. So next year, hopefully, not 9.1 inches of rain. I always say 9 inches, and the city reminds me it was 9.1. So hopefully not 9.1 inches of rain. We can do a lot of the things that we had planned to do and be able to execute it. But a lot of planning, and again, thanks to everybody that helped put that event on. It truly was an entire industry coming together to do something we've never done before.
You're like, Pete, I want to actually address that for a second, because Julie called us and said one of her first deals she needed to do in Chicago was a new event that was big for the industry, was I need to get the community behind me. I need to get the local politicians behind me, get the school systems behind me, get all these public works behind me. And so we're trying to come up with these things, and so we're like, we're in. What do you need? And so she held a big event for the people in the public school systems there at the Field Museum, and she asked Daniel Suarez to come out there because there are a lot of diverse students, and there are a lot of people who of color and ethnic backgrounds, and Daniel they could identify with Daniel in a lot of ways. And so we were real privileged to do that, because we're talking about collectively all of us doing something together, because this was not a Julie issue or a NASCAR issue or a track issue. This was an industry issue. This was an industry opportunity. And at the same time we were doing that with our own traditional drivers, we were thinking, okay, this is a moment in time. What can we do? And we were like, we're going to run Project 91 there, which is this team that we run only when we have these international drivers that are available. And we brought in this guy from Australian Supercars, a New Zealander, and everything came together. So it was this whole collaboration, because he should not have actually probably even been eligible to race. You know, he hadn't run a NASCAR race before, and it goes right in the cup without anything else. But NASCAR, the sanctioning body on the competition side, worked with the team. They worked with us on that. We worked with Julie. And then, you know, it was just an incredible event for us to be a part of, because all of us worked together at every single element, from competition to logistics to just community impact. And so it was really, that was like this incredible moment in time where when everyone works together, what can really happen.
Jessica, moving on to you, kind of the other end of the spectrum, right? Another very anticipated moment or race this season was the AllStar Race at North Wilkesboro. I'm sure you probably had mixed emotion when Marcus tapped you on the shoulder and said, "Hey, Jessica, why don't you lead this in your spare time?" But if you could also kind of walk us through, that was a very, ambitious build and a lot to get done in a very short time frame. How did you kind of approach it where you pulled it off? And I think the first time I went there, I was like, "Ooh, we got some work to do here," but it ended up being fantastic.
Yeah. We had trees growing out of grandstands and collapsed sewer lines and that kind of thing. So, Marcus came into my office and he was talking about it. I honestly thought he was talking about 2024. I'm like, yeah, that's no problem. And called Steve Swift, our VP of development, and he builds and does everything at all of our Speedway Motorsports speedways. And he thought he was talking about 2024 as well. And he said, no, like in 8 months. And so we said, yeah, we can figure this out. Speedway Motorsports, we've got a great team of people. And I think we announced it on September 8th that we were having the AllStar Race there. We weren't allowed to put a shovel in the ground till October because we had to get permits and all that kind of thing. But it was pretty much just 24/7, pretty much building the infrastructure, a lot of things that the fans don't see. That took up most of the construction costs. And then just getting it to a point where it was safe, we could have some internet, working with the neighbors to get some parking. But it was kind of a whirlwind. I'm sure, just like for Julie, it's like...
Where did 2023 go?
Yeah, exactly.
You know what she did with trees at her racetrack? She built a suite above them. She didn't tear them down. She built a suite above them.
We were very nervous about the trees.
I know, we were
checking on them daily.
The trees are all doing very well.
You obviously work different industries, many brands, many different regions around the world. Any sort of macro trends or even like regional trends that you see that see kind of emerging that maybe we haven't sort of assimilated to or embraced yet, but anything we can kind of learn from others through you and the team?
I think it's not rocket science. I mean, it's engaging younger fans and how they're doing it. I mean, it's something I'm sure you're charged with every day of the week, right? You're like, thanks, Will, for bringing that up. But, I mean, that's ultimately what you have to do. And I sort of always have two litmus tests, right? Are my friends talking about it in our group chat, and is my 11 or 15-year-old talking about it because they saw it in XYZ medium? And so it's just, I think anything we can do as an industry and a sport to get in front and center of those audiences is critical. So it's not a special, sauce or trend. It's just we have to be laser focused to get the next generation of fan. So that needs to be the priority, quite candidly. And I think anything we can do to aim our direction towards that would be critically important. I'll pull some stats from our next gen census we do amongst college students. And the beauty is they're interested in NASCAR. just the same amount that they're interested in F1. So the foundation is there. Maybe it's behind NBA or NFL, but it is there. So anything that we can do to really focus and capture that audience to make it more attractive to potential brand partners is going to be critical. And obviously, as Julie alluded to, getting them to the events in any form or fashion through music, through whatever it may be, will be critically important.
Right.
Get them there. They experience it,
Yeah.
you typically have lifelong fans.
So that's probably a good transition back to Julie. Julie, I'm sure you have a hefty list of things for 2024 that you want to build on from this year. Can you give us just an overview of what some of those sort of priorities or things you'd like to see in year 2 of Chicago Street Race?
Did I mention the weather?
You did, 9.1 inches
Yeah.
of rain,
No,
not having it.
Exactly. I think we knew we were going to learn a lot, and there's a number of different ways I can really take that question. But when you look at, first and foremost, we are in the city year-round, and so continuing our community impact initiatives, like what Ty talks about with the STEM and STEAM program. We have over 50 different initiatives right now that we are doing with different nonprofits and different organizations, and that will continue. That's incredibly important, not only to us, but to the leadership of the city. And then you look at the footprint and the experience itself. I will tell you, we will have more bridges, for those of you we learned. More bridges, but I think just from a content perspective, it's such a great opportunity to tell the story of NASCAR and help them start to find their favorite drivers and find your favorite teams. The names going into the weekend, all of the drivers were so great to come into market whenever we needed anything. People were popping in, and they were starting to create this brand recognition, and things like Bubba's Block Party and having Daniel at the Field Museum, Ricky coming in after the Daytona 500 and going to the children's hospitals, and it goes on. And so for us now, it's taking that and telling the story even more throughout the footprint and helping them understand what they're seeing, what they're watching. I think one thing that we learned just in talking to the locals especially was they wanted to bring the family. We didn't have youth pricing, so it's something that we're looking at, and making sure that we are making it easy for them to bring everybody out to the event. Still we'll have the concerts, and we'll continue to hopefully get that locked in very soon. But I think, more of the same. We didn't get to do a lot that we wanted to this year. So that's going to be our starting point. We are still going to build above the trees.
Pitbull has a new album.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Hi, we can talk.
Great. Well, I think this is we're the last thing between this room and some cocktails and discussion. Just one quick sort of last rapid fire, and at no particular order, but wrapping up our 75th anniversary, or the 75th anniversary of NASCAR. Just thoughts. It's will tell us all day long. It is a competitive world out there. Any thoughts on what we can do even better to grow interest in fandom and demand for NASCAR?
Can we get Taylor Swift to date one of our drivers?
It would be Christmas for me if that happened.
Rod Moskowitz and I did joke this summer when Olivia Dunn was there, why wasn't Chase Elliott making more of a move? Those things do matter,
Yeah.
No, relevance. That's the biggest thing. Is I think through a period of time we've probably lost some of it, and we're seeing a nice trend back up in that way where things that are important, sports centers, we'll talk about us some, and things of that nature, which used to be an every weekend thing, and Gen Pop. That's you just have to. The general population is going to have to know where you are, what's going on, and if they're not there, they need to at least follow.
Yeah, I think it's just more of the same. I think, to me, the takeaway from Chicago, despite everything that we went through, people were literally dancing as they were so excited as they were leaving Sunday night, and just that atmosphere around the course, those last 10 laps, and out on pit lane, and it's something incredibly special. Getting them there, experiencing it. People are still talking about it in Chicago. You go to a restaurant and they ask, were you there? And you see that in this huge city. it's a
Right,
tremendous
right.
opportunity.
Excellent.
Yeah, no, I mean, I just say, don't be afraid to, claim we're number one, right? And forget that NASCAR is a special sport. The perception that F1 is dominant, it's not, right? If you look at the facts and figures, and don't be afraid to tell that story, and really make sure that we're out there pounding in the table a little bit of like, no, we're the dominant player here. And so I think anything we can do to do that, create new assets and sell collectively to make it easy for sponsors to buy, I think it's just something we can continue to work on, to make it plug in and create new inventory like Julie did around the races, that everybody comes together in the industry.
Great, thank you. So Jessica, Julie, Ty, Will, thank you so much for your time. And
Thank you.
I think I turn it over to Jonathan again. Thank you.